So, how exactly does a group of local underdogs completely rewrite the tactical playbook of Europe's biggest sport? I mean, it honestly sounds like the plot of some cheesy sports movie, right? But back in the late 1960s, this wasn't fiction. This was a reality that absolutely sent shockwaves through the entire footballing world. Just think about this iconic battle cry from the legendary manager Jock Stein. He wasn't just talking about, scraping by to win a trophy. He was laying down a total philosophy. This was the spark of an attacking revolution that completely kicked off a brand new era on the pitch. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're really diving deep into Celtic FC and the tactical evolution of European football. We're going to explore this super fascinating four-year window, right? From 1967 to 1971, where this one Scottish club bridged the death of hyper-defensive football and kind of accidentally laid the groundwork for a wildly dynamic new era. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's set the scene. The year is 1967, and we are looking at the ultimate David versus Goliath matchup in Lisbon. On one hand, you've got Inter Milan. These guys are the undisputed giants. They've won 2 of the last 3 European Cups, and their roster is just packed with glamorous international stars. And on the other hand, Celtic. And here's the craziest part. Every single player on that Celtic squad was a local boy, born within a 30-mile radius of Glasgow. They were massive, massive underdogs. To really grasp just how much everyone underestimated Celtic, there's this hilarious anecdote from their star winger, Jimmy Johnstone. He actually remembered standing in the tunnel right before the match, looking up at these Italians. They've got the ombre solaire suntans, the slicked back hair, the Colgate smiles. They literally looked like film stars. And then you have the Scots. Johnstone called them midgets with missing teeth, just grinning right back up at them like they belonged in a circus. It was a total clash of 2 entirely different worlds. Now, to really appreciate the giant that Celtic was trying to slay here, we have to talk about Inter Milan's notorious tactical system, Catenaccio. This was a sterile, suffocating, hyper-defensive approach. It relied heavily on super strict man-to-man marking and having a sweeper just sitting way behind the defense to clean up any mistakes. It was literally designed to frustrate you, stifle your play, and win by incredibly tight margins. So when Inter actually went up 1-0 on a penalty in just the 7th minute, well, pretty much everyone thought the game was already over. But here's the thing, Celtic didn't just manage to scrape a 2-1 win, they systematically dismantled Catenaccio. The data here is just astonishing. Celtic rained down 42 attempts on goal. 42, compared to Inter's 5. They forced 10 corners, while Inter had absolutely 0. Between a massive 25-yard blast from Tommy Jamel and the winner prodded in by Stevie Chalmers, they basically ran the Italians into the ground with relentless, pure attacking football. And by doing this, that squad, who are forever immortalized as the Lisbon Lions, proved completely objectively that attacking football could actually conquer Europe. The reason this matters so much is that they became the first British, the first Northern European, and the very first non-Latin side to ever win the European Cup. They effectively ripped up the old tactical blueprint for everyone else moving forward. But, the landscape of European football was shifting really rapidly. Just 3 years later, after proving their whole offensive model actually worked, Celtic found themselves right back in the European final. Except this time, the tactical center of gravity was shifting squarely toward the Netherlands. So heading into that 1970 final in Milan, Jock Stein's Celtic were still relying on that raw attacking flair, but the core of the Lisbon Lions was definitely getting older, and they found themselves up against a fresh, highly disciplined Feyenoord side. They were managed by Ernst Happel, who was this master tactician, pioneering a very modern, robust defense that perfectly blended fluid movement with some brilliant pragmatism. Happel showed up with a coldly calculating game plan to just completely neutralize Celtic's magic. First, he disrupted their rhythm with a really aggressive high press. Then, he implemented a strict double-marking trap specifically designed to shut down Celtic's creative spark, Jimmy Johnstone. And finally, he just exploited the physical fatigue of that older Scottish squad as the match dragged on. And the heartbreak for Celtic finally arrived incredibly late, deep into the 117th minute of extra time. After this grueling battle of attrition, a misjudged ball by the Celtic defense suddenly fell to the Swedish forward Ove Kinval. He beautifully lobbed the advancing goalkeeper, securing a 2-1 victory for Feyenoord. Discipline had officially outlasted flair. But despite the absolute devastation of losing that late in extra time, the aftermath was just a masterclass in sportsmanship. Jockstein showed incredible class, gently telling his heartbroken players to go ahead and help themselves to that champagne in the corner. Even Jimmy Johnstone walked right up to a Feyenoord player on the pitch just to concede that they fully deserved the win. They knew, without a doubt, they'd been outmaneuvered by a superior tactical machine. Feyenoord's victory was the very first for a Dutch club, and it actually laid the foundation for something so much bigger: total football. This revolutionary system took that aggressive, high pressing that beat Celtic and added this incredible positional fluidity, meaning if a defender pushed forward, an attacker would seamlessly drop right back to cover their spot. It kept the team's shape absolutely perfect. And just 1 year later, in the 1971 quarterfinals, Celtic ran headfirst into the ultimate evolution of this system, Ajax. Featuring Johan Cruyff's famous tactical fluidity, Ajax used advanced systemic trapping to completely suffocate Celtic's traditional wingers. Jockstein even tried a wild psychological trick. He actually forced Ajax to wear an unfamiliar blue strip for the return leg in Glasgow because of a kit clash. But honestly, even that couldn't save them. Ajax came away with a 1-0 victory in that 1971 clash. And what you really need to take away from this is the incredible symbolic shift it represented. The torch had officially been passed. Ajax would go on to capture the European Cup that year, and the next, and the next. 3 consecutive years of absolute total dominance by the architects of Dutch total football. Which leaves us with this truly fascinating paradox to ponder. By completely shattering the myth of the unassailable defensive block back in 1967, did Celtic inadvertently prove that high-tempo, attacking fluidity was the future? And in doing so, did they actually accidentally engineer the rise of the exact same Dutch system that would eventually dismantle them just 3 years later? It really shows exactly how beautifully and ruthlessly the tactics of football are forever connected.